Este comercial no vende nada, ni te ofrece nada, ni te enseña nada, ni te pide que compres absolutamente nada. Es más, ni siquiera es comercial. Pero de él te vas a acordar para siempre. Canal 5. Sin compromisos.
Canal 5 was just your average Mexican television network. The TV channel focused mainly on children's programming and films, including dubbed versions of shows like Dragon Ball Z, Ed, Edd n Eddy, a Mexican version of the Disney Club, and so on. Really, there was nothing strange about the network. It was family-friendly, entertaining, and full of...
El niño Ricardo Sayid Tobar Sandoval, de 14 años de edad, desapareció el 28 de enero en Coacalco, Estado de México. Seña particular, una cicatriz en la cara, al lado izquierdo de la cara. José Antonio Vélez Hernández, de 15 años.
Beginning in the 1980s, Canal 5 would host service announcements. These sudden announcements would display missing people, including their name, some basic information, and an image if available. The purpose was to spread awareness about their disappearance in the hopes of locating and rescuing them. Many who grew up watching Canal 5 remember these announcements as being horrifying, mainly because of how they interrupted fun kids content with very serious, somber content. I can kinda see why Canal 5 would do these. I mean, to be fair, here in the States we had Amber Alerts, and emergency messages pop up on screen during cartoons. Yeah, it's scarring, but getting the word and potentially saving innocent lives is understandable. However, the same cannot be said for what Canal 5 did in April of 2020.
Hi, I'm Johnny Quasar, and this is my robot dog, Daughter.
For some reason, Canal 5's official Twitter page began posting really strange and off-putting videos. It didn't help that these videos were posted dead at night and deleted some hours later. Imagine if Nickelodeon started posting videos like this on their Twitter page. It was really bizarre. The posts were investigated by Info Bay Mexico, an online newspaper. However, employees at Canal 5 claimed to not know anything about these disturbing posts. It's now widely believed to have likely been a viral marketing stunt. Canal 5 received widespread attention and media coverage, but amidst their many tweets, there was one that simply said, Selene. After Canal 5 went viral, people began looking into their service announcements and found this. Selene Delgado Lopez is a missing person who was featured on Canal 5 20 years prior to their strange tweets. She was described as an 18-year-old woman who disappeared sometime in the 1990s. What makes her case stand out is how little we know about her. There is no evidence that Selene Delgado Lopez actually existed, and there is no publicly verifiable documentation that has been found. Even stranger is how off her photo was. There was no color, it was overexposed, and at a weird angle. In stark contrast to the photos used by other missing persons featured in the same broadcast, Selene's photo is quite unnerving. To be fair, there were other missing persons with photos just as obscure, but none received the same level of attention as Selene. Some began wondering if Selene was even a real person. But if that's the case, where did this image even come from? The mystery has become a popular urban legend in Mexico, and many have begun investigating the case. I'm not sure if there's like a search team or something like that, like a lost media search, because I definitely love to join one. But in 2025, more and more service announcements were recovered from personal recordings and online uploads. Each upload not only documents another missing person, but could shed light on the mystery of Selene Delgado Lopez.
This concludes another day of outstanding television programming on WMAQ-TV, Channel 5, NBC in Chicago. We now leave the air and wish you a pleasant good morning.
On January 14th, 1989, the Chicago channel WMAQ was doing its usual sign-off for the night. Just as the station was finishing its closing routine, the screen abruptly cut to a missing person slide. On it was a blurry image of a young woman, and the name Joanna Lopez. There was no transition, no music, no narration, and no information about her age, height, or the circumstances of her disappearance. On top of everything, the photo used was of very poor quality. It seemed to be a rough photocopy of an actual image. Because of this, many users found this ad to be uneasy and even a little disturbing. Although the format was unusual, WMAQ did air at least one other missing person slide in a similar style. In 1988, the station showed a slide for a missing child named Tricia Kellett, including her name, photo, and the date she disappeared. Tricia is well documented as a real missing child, though sadly her case remains unsolved. Joanna Lopez, however, has almost no public records about her or her disappearance. Researchers have not located a matching missing person case under that name in standard public databases. Because of this lack of documentation, some thought that Joanna Lopez was merely an urban legend, a case of mistaken identity, or some cruel joke. However, all doubts vanished in 1991. During another WMAQ late night sign-off, the same missing Joanna Lopez slide appeared again. This time, Joanna's image remained on screen for a few seconds, before cutting to color bars and tone. The slide was basically the same, but the image looked slightly sharper, but not by a lot, and no new information about Joanna was given. All this really proved was that Joanna was no mere hoax or mistake, but a real person that had gone missing for several years. Decades later, when people began uploading archives of these broadcasts, the mystery of Joanna Lopez was rediscovered and became an internet phenomenon. Viewers were struck by the complete lack of information besides her name and face, and began to investigate. The number on the slide was real, but has since been disconnected. Later research revealed that the number used to belong to the Youth Division of the Chicago Police Department, which worked on juvenile and runaway cases. Now, apparently, there was a woman with a similar name that was discovered, and when contacted, she revealed that she was a runaway at the age of 18. Her age and location also matched up, but for whatever reason, all communication abruptly ceased. Follow-up calls and texts have gone unresponded. It's unclear if this genuinely was Joanna Lopez, but pushing for more information could be seen as borderline harassment, so this lead has gone cold. That said, progress is still being made. There are communities online, such as a Discord and a subreddit, trying to uncover more information about Joanna Lopez and solve this bizarre mystery. In February of this year, a brand new, never-before-seen broadcast was discovered and uploaded to YouTube, this time from 1990. When asked, the uploader specified that he bought tapes from a collector from the Chicago area and was unaware of the Joanna Lopez mystery. Sadly, the clip doesn't seem to reveal anything or progress the investigation in any way, but it was still a worthwhile discovery. On August 31st, 2019, a man named Seth Ator carried out a terrible crime. Ator was a man living in Texas and had just been fired from his job that same day. Sometime later, he called an FBI tip line and made rambling statements about the wrongs he had suffered. Shortly after, Ator grabbed an AR-15, drove his Toyota Camry down Interstate 20 near Midland, and began a violent, mobile shooting spree. Ator opened fire from his vehicle at nearby bystanders, cars, and motorists. Ator made his way to neighboring Odessa, where he continued to shoot people. During this time, he made numerous calls to 911 and spoke to multiple operators while he carried out his evil crime. Eventually, he made his way to a residential area where he shot and killed a U.S. Postal Service carrier before stealing her mail truck. Finally, as Ator drove along Texas State Highway 191 in Odessa, officers rammed the hijacked mail truck and killed him in a final gunfight. In total, 7 people were tragically killed, and roughly 25 others were injured. Investigators have not identified a single clear motive for Ator's shooting spree, but most sources point to his declining mental health and paranoid delusions. According to the official report of investigation, Ator claimed that he was being stalked and impersonated online, and that he was kidnapped by an employer and forced to watch child pornography. However, during this 911 call, he made no threats or mentions of his upcoming shooting. Following the rampage, law enforcement and the FBI searched Ator's home and background, confirming that he had previously failed a background check, but obtained his rifle through a private sale that did not require one. The man who sold him the rifle was later criminally prosecuted. He pleaded guilty to selling firearms without a license and was sentenced to 24 months in federal prison. In any case, Seth Ator's 911 call was not typically considered lost media. Sure, the calls hadn't been made public, but they weren't really sought after. In February of this year, Reddit user Brave Award 8666 found and uploaded a recording of the call through, I'm assuming, a Freedom of Information Act request. There isn't a whole lot of information about how he acquired this online, and even Brave Award's Reddit account was later removed. On February 13th, 2017, 2 Indiana teens, Abigail Williams and Liberty German, were hiking near the Monon High Bridge in Delphi, a small town about 60 miles northwest of Indianapolis. The girls were dropped off near the Monon High Bridge trail that afternoon and were expected to be picked up later in that evening. Unfortunately, that never happened. Libby's father arrived at the trail a little after 3 p.m., expecting to pick them up, but the girls were not there and did not answer phone calls, which immediately concerned the family. Relatives and friends began searching the trails and nearby areas themselves through the afternoon and early evening, repeatedly calling and texting the girls without success. When the family failed to locate them and darkness began approaching, the family contacted authorities and reported the girls missing at 5:30 p.m. Police and community volunteers organized a search of the area that continued into the night, but the worst was yet to be discovered. The next morning, at around noon, searchers found 2 bodies in a wooded area near the north bank of Deer Creek, roughly half a mile east of the Monon High Bridge. These were the remains of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Later investigations revealed that the girls had been attacked and killed near where they were found, with court proceedings indicating that they had died from having their throats slashed. Analysis of Libby's phone revealed some key details. Shortly after 2 p.m., Liberty took and posted photos on Snapchat as they started to cross the bridge. Sometime later, the girls noticed that they were being followed by a man and began to record a video. Libby's phone continued to register movements through its health and location data until about 2:32 p.m., when the device ceased recording movements. The man seen in the video can be heard saying, "Guys, down the hill," and became a primary suspect. He became known as the Bridge Guy when his image and audio were released online, although the full video hadn't been shared. 3 days after the murder, a man named Richard Allen self-reported to being on the same trail during the murders. However, the report was misfiled because his name was incorrectly recorded, so Allen was left out of investigations for several years. In 2022, a volunteer working with the case noticed the old tip and realized the name mix-up, which caused detectives to refocus on Allen. Investigators linked an unspent .40 caliber bullet found near the bodies to Allen's .226 handgun. Coupled with his own statements, and the fact that he matched witness descriptions cemented the prosecution's case. In November 2024, the jury found Allen guilty on all charges in the double homicide. And in December 2024, he was sentenced to 130 years in prison. In 2024, recorded phone calls from Allen were played for the jurors, in which he confessed his crimes to his wife and mother. Portions of those calls, along with segments of his police interviews, were later aired in news coverage and became publicly accessible, including in 2025. As for the full Bridge Guy video, that had always remained behind closed doors, until this year, when a website advocating for Allen's innocence uploaded the full clip online. It's a bit unclear how they obtained this footage from the trial exhibits, but nevertheless, it's a very chilling video, knowing what ended up happening.
See, this is the path that we go down. There's no path going there, so we have to go down here. Hi.
The Mexia Supermarket was a small, independently owned grocery store located in Fort Worth, Texas. Unfortunately, the owners declared bankruptcy because the store was unprofitable and had accumulated over $1 million in debt. By 1999, after just a year or so of operation, the store was abandoned. Literally. The owners just deserted the grocery store with everything left inside to rot and decay in the sweltering Texas summer heat. Instead of cleaning the inventory, they locked the doors with meat, fish, produce, dairy, frozen foods, and other perishables still inside. After the electricity was cut, refrigeration ended, and the food began to rot, drawing flies, maggots, and vermin. The entire building basically turned into a sealed ecosystem full of decomposing food. By the end of the summer, nauseating fumes would surround the store from all the waste being produced. From the outside, people complained of an overpowering smell that was so foul, people reportedly experienced headaches just by walking by it.
Back in August, store owners locked the doors and left everything behind.
You've got a fully stocked grocery store. You've got a complete produce section. You've got a complete meat section. It's been sitting there unrefrigerated for 60 to 90 days.
Today, a pest control company started its assault on the building that's now infested with rodents and thousands of flies. Some neighbors say the smell has made them sick. Environmental Services confirms the odor can cause nausea and vomiting, but won't cause long-term health problems.
Authorities eventually declared the site a health hazard, and a specialty firm was hired to clean the area. Workers had to wear hazmat suits to carefully remove and decontaminate everything inside the store, costing around $100,000. The event received a fair amount of local media coverage, documenting the surroundings of the store, as well as some footage of the inside. However, the story remained largely unknown outside of Fort Worth, until a documentary on the History Channel called Life After People aired an episode called The Last Supper. The episode talks about what would happen to food supply if humanity suddenly vanished. It mentioned Mexia as a case study, bringing renewed interest in the story.
In 1999, in Fort Worth, Texas, a grocery shop went bankrupt. The owners decided to abandon the shop, leaving everything inside. Within weeks, neighbors began to notice a horrible stench.
Years later, Lost Media Wiki user Benjamin McHale became interested in the case and began tracking down the original tapes used in the Life After People episode. His search led him to Anthony Williams, Department Supervisor of Fort Worth's Environmental Management. Williams confirmed that an employee named Jimmy McClurg had filmed the cleanup of Mexia, but they were unable to locate his recordings, suggesting that they were lost amid department changes. Since then, there's been an ongoing effort to recover as much lost media from Mexia as possible, and there's even a search team on Discord. I'm considering making a whole documentary about it if you guys would like to see that. Anyways, as for the discoveries made in 2025, there are a ton. A TikTok user named Juice shared a video that was shot by his parents as they drove past Mexia in November of 1999. That same month, a Discord user known as Ash successfully requested footage of Mexia from the University of North Texas. On July 15th, Discord user Biscuit Numbers located additional Mexia footage from station KTVT in the CONUS archive. In July, YouTuber Kong MMG released a video that showcased new photographs of the store from the day the hazmat workers first arrived. These images were obtained by directly emailing Fort Worth's environmental department. There is one last find to talk about. In September of this year, searchers noticed a university archive had quietly posted a full set of Mexia Supermarket photos. However, most of these were already uncovered and shared last year by Lost Media Wiki user Nicolette Astor, all except for one. This photo shows a Garner environmental employee on the left and Jimmy McClurg on the right, a Fort Worth environmental staffer who documented the cleanup. McClurg can be seen holding a small camcorder, which roughly resembles the one he used to film footage for the Life After People episode. So what happened to the footage, and why wasn't Williams able to locate it? It's theorized that the footage was likely damaged from something called sticky shed syndrome, a real form of decay aggravated by humidity, water damage, and poor storage. This would coincide with the heavy humidity from the inside of Mexia, as well as the clips used in the Life After People episode already showing wear. There's an ongoing search occurring and probably a lot more to be discovered, so until then, we'll have to wait and see what else gets found. September 11th, 2001 is a date that needs little introduction. That morning, the world watched in horror as a series of coordinated terrorist attacks forever changed the course of history. Yet, despite extensive news coverage and personal recordings, there's still a vast amount of photos and videos related to 9/11 that remain lost to time. This has led to the creation of the 9/11 Media Preservation Group, a team of people dedicated to finding and preserving as much from the event as possible, and I've talked about them a few times on my channel. Genuinely, 9/11 Lost Media is such an interesting rabbit hole, and out of all the different subcategories of Lost Media, this one's probably my favorite. This takes us to the founder of the 9/11 Media Preservation Group, a user known as Between Two Towers, and the Ed S. Tapes. On January 24th, 2025, Between Two Towers posted on the 9/11 Archive subreddit. This camera filmed the attacks on the World Trade Center, and its recording hasn't been seen in over 20 years. Now we are working on releasing it to the public. This Canon camcorder is the personal possession of a September 11 survivor who has never allowed it to be published until members of the 9/11 Media Preservation Group and I contacted them. Now we are working with a local company to make a high-quality digital conversion to release to the public in its entirety for the first time. The camera itself has been in storage in its original bag since the fateful event, which is still covered in dust from the collapse of World Trade Center 2, which occurred when the individual was less than 1 block from the complex. The recording is nearly an hour long and mostly uninterrupted, spanning from minutes after the first impact to shortly after the first collapse. At this time, I can't get into the specifics about the individual, as they want to maintain a level of anonymity until the full tape can be reviewed by them and their family. But as part of the agreement, they have allowed me the unique opportunity and permission to publish the full unedited video once the process is completed. The following month, Between Two Towers returned with an update. Update: New 9/11 footage. We have delivered the tape. The tape has been retrieved by members of the 9/11 Media Preservation Group. Sometime next week, a video call is scheduled with me and team members over at Ever Present facility, and we will discuss the process and make sure we get the highest quality export of the footage while not damaging the original tape. Later that month, Between Two Towers posted another update. He explained that the tape had unfortunately showed signs of wear and damage, which is not all too surprising, especially after over 20 years. That said, progress was still being made. The tape was to be analyzed, repaired, and converted to a high-quality uncompressed file. And in May of that year, the footage was posted to YouTube.
I'm alive, but I'm leaving because this is too close for comfort and I got it all on video.
Yeah, you okay?
No, man. No, I'm not okay. I was on the roof and all of a sudden
The footage is just under an hour long and offers a street-level view of the disaster. For obvious reasons, I can't play the full clip here, but it is harrowing. It makes you feel like you were actually there. The owner of the tape, a man named Ed, later commented, "I could still smell and taste it. The panic in my chest is with me to this day. Nobody, especially those who make comments on how this event that changed the world forever, could ever fathom the pain we all felt. Witnessing this is something I could never forget." In 1993, the news program Aquí Agora sent a news crew to cover the attempt of 16-year-old Danielle Alves Lopez. Lopez was a Brazilian teenager who worked as a receptionist in downtown Sao Paulo. Sources say she became depressed after a recent romantic breakup. On July 5th, she climbed onto the 7th floor ledge of the office building where she worked, drawing the attention of the police and eventually TV reporters. While on the ledge, Danielle was filmed by the TV news program Aquí Agora, and the footage of her jump was broadcast nationally. Because of the shocking nature of the event, her case became widely known and highly controversial. Aquí Agora was a sensationalist Brazilian news program, infamous for its graphic, crime-focused coverage and for turning real-life tragedies into spectacle. The reports, the journalistic coverage of the death of Danielle Alves Lopez by the program Aquí Agora and the role of journalism in the dissemination of examines this broadcast. The authors argue that Aquí Agora violated nearly every major recommendation. It showed the method and moment of death, simplified the motive, failed to mention mental health resources, and ignored the broader social and clinical context of suicide. Instead of helping viewers to understand the complexity of such acts or offer pathways to help, the piece treated Danielle's final moments as sensationalist content, meant to keep the audience glued to the screen. Danielle's family later sued for the way her death and her image were used, reaching a settlement of about 1 million reals in 1994 for moral damages. In the years that followed, the full broadcast effectively disappeared from public circulation, and only fragments survived. The Brazilian Lost Media Wiki mentions that excerpts of Lopez's was shown in a documentary about Aqui Agora, which was posted to YouTube in 2016. The video ended up being removed from the platform some years later for violating community guidelines. Now, on December 15th, as I was writing the script, a Reddit user named Josu Bacana made a post onto r/Brazil Lost Media, in which he showed a photo that appeared to be a frame from the infamous reports. He claimed that the full report had been found, but he didn't want to share the video due to its disturbing nature. Either way, the post was deleted after backlash from other Reddit users. A few hours later, he decided to make another post, this time containing the full 9-minute coverage of the event. This post was also deleted by the subreddit's moderators, though the footage was saved and can be found online. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to play the clip here. It is highly unsettling, and I wish Danielle could receive the help she needed, rather than have her troubles turn into sensationalism by the news.
Wow. That's not good.
Whoa, get the fuck out of here!
The station nightclub fire was one of the deadliest nightclub disasters in US history, occurring on the night of February 20th, 2003 in West Warwick, Rhode Island. The event resulted in the deaths of 100 people and injured more than 200 others. But what happened? The station was a small, single-story nightclub and music venue. On the night of the fire, more than 400 people crowded into the club to watch a performance by the band Great White. However, this far exceeded the occupancy level for the space, and became a genuine cause for concern. Not only that, but despite the building having 4 exits, most of the audience entered through the front doorway. The disaster began after the band started its set. They had sparks shot into the air as part of the show. Unfortunately, these sparks struck highly flammable foam that lines the wall and ceilings around the stage, material that had been installed as soundproofing. Within seconds, flames raced up the walls and across the ceiling. And within minutes, smoke began to engulf the club. Although the fire alarm activated and the venue had multiple exits, because everyone entered through the front doorway, instinctively, they all rushed towards the same doorway in an attempt to get out. This created a crushing narrow corridor as heat and smoke intensified behind them. Conditions inside became unbearable after about 90 seconds, and the entire venue was on fire in just a few minutes, trapping many near the stage. Out of roughly 460 people in the building, 100 died and about 240 were injured, many from smoke inhalation, burns, and traumatic injuries from the stampede at the front door. One of the victims was 33-year-old Matthew Pickett. On the night of the station fire, Pickett brought a digital audio recorder and captured the sound of inside the club before and during the disaster. The tape was found on his body and, astonishingly, was fully intact. After his death, prosecutors used this so-called Pickett tape as key evidence because it preserved a detailed audio timeline of the fire's outbreak. While the picket tape was preserved and used as evidence in the station nightclub fire trials, the full recording has never been officially released to the public. Apparently, the lawyer involved in the case was quite adamant that the audio should never see the light of day. Friendly reminder, in no way am I endorsing searching for audio of people dying or any of this stuff. But in 2025, someone did anyway. In February of this year, the Channel Pasteris Archive obtained copies of the picket tape through the Freedom of Information Act. Various audio recordings are up on his channel and on the Internet Archive.